there, guys. My presentation is on the correlations between LGBT representation in anime as well as the Japanese community itself. I've chosen this topic primarily because something I noticed growing up is censorship for a lot of anime in the United States when imported from Japan and how they were changed. So that kind of sparked my interest on why and how that connects back. Overall, my research question is basically, has the representation of LGBT characters in anime led to a positive feedback on the community? Has it helped them progress or has it hindered them? A little bit of history. Homosexuality is legal in Japan. There's no religious prohibitions or oppositions compared to the West, where Christianity and other religions are used as a roadblock in those arguments. The main religions of Japan, Shinto, Buddhism, Confucianism, do not really target it specifically. There's no teachings against it. In 1872, sodomy was penalized, and same-sex relationships were grouped into that, but that was repealed within 7 years, and following the Napoleonic Penal Code in 1880. So there's really nothing that stood in the way since 1880. It's more been just the stigma, the traditional stigma. Within politics and law, I've discovered that currently right now, there's no laws against it, and there's still a few legal protections, but the community is still negatively treated compared to the others. There's no ability to marry or to get rights that are associated with marriage, unable to adopt. Marriages abroad are nullified in the country. They're not recognized. Confucian values, despite not actively targeting the groups, there's still a hindrance, as especially in the workplace, those Confucian values come into play of expecting that a man should be married and have kids to progress and gain a promotion. There have been changes, a lot of changes in the most recent years. The Shibuya Initiative, for one, which has only taken place within the city of Shibuya, but has spread out to other cities that have adopted this type of initiative, is basically allows partners to have access to certain things, be able to visit their partners if they're ill in the hospital, able to gain something for living in the same house, with rent sharing. Up until 2017, foster parenting wasn't allowed until Osaka started recognizing it. So really, you've seen changes in the major cities, and it's beginning to spread out. So it's starting to change. There is a lack of discrimination protections, but like the other things, it's beginning to change in the coming years. A lot of the pushing has come from politicians from the 2000s onward, and it's many of them have come out in support. Many of them who are part of the community. Many researchers that I've looked into, most of them come from journals, peer reviews, a few books. They've mostly said that the main issue that has helped them, the main thing that has helped is media. Basically, how media reflects current society and pop culture, and by showcasing these groups in a positive light, in that they're just like everyone else, it helps push to get that more accepted. So how it connects to anime? Prior to the 1990s, around the 70s, 80s, and 90s, there was a huge censorship of Japanese anime, especially in the West. This is kind of what made me kind of wonder with this topic. One that many people might know who are anime fans is Sailor Moon. In the 90s, there were two characters, Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune, who were together, to a lesbian relationship, and that was written out in the English version. It was made so that they were portrayed as really close cousins instead of lovers. Another issue was there was an effeminate male villain in the Japanese version who they just turned into a woman in the American version. Another one is Cardcaptor Sakura, in which a gay relationship between two best friends was turned into just close best friends. It's basically just writing it out because those in charge were afraid of lashing out from the public, particularly the American public, and they felt children should not be exposed to this. Now, at the time, Japan did not have that. Japan had aired these episodes as they were intended. It was America who had intervened. And it's kind of funny because as it seems Japan becomes more westernized, there is more of that push for LGBT rights, and it's the more the traditional sense that's fighting against it. But in the 90s, things are a little bit different. There are other anime that insinuated LGBT themes, such as Revolutionary Girl Utena, who is a female character who doesn't really conform to like the female princess role. She's a princess, but she's more like she wants to be like in a soldier. Evangelion is notorious for its gay subtext. As we move into the 2000s, there's more stereotypes and kind of played for laughs for the community. One big one is Ouran High School Host Club, which is very much a some would say it's good representation, others would say it kind of plays into stereotypes. There's a main character who could arguably be gender fluid, but is a girl. But one big issue that the community does have in anime is there is huge over-sexualization of some parts of it. It's just, there's, especially in the manga areas with like self-writers, there's a lot of over-sexualization, and that can help, it can hinder the community a lot. It really kind of can drag it down, and it just portrays the LGBT community as like sex-driven. But as we moved into the 2010s, there's more positive representation. One big one was Yuri on Ice, an ice skating anime, which had like prominent male characters that it shows like almost a healthy relationship, and but even then there's still a tease, like they don't really kiss until the absolute end. Spoilers. It's basically, but it's a push. It's a push in the right direction, and there have been more anime that are doing this. And overall, it comes down to how media portrayal, as I said before, and positive coverage can lead to positive change in the youth, in the government. I said before, there are people within the government who are trans, who are coming out saying that they're gay, and are actively pushing to make it better. Celebrities have spoken out. The mass media has spoken out. There are tons of spokespeople that are like fighting to push all these things, and you really see when you look at the timeline that from the mid-2000s to present, there's been a huge push for LGBT rights in Japan. And one can connect to this. Anime is very much like Disney animation. Movies like Marvel and Star Wars, they connect to what society what society's connected to at the moment. It shows what they're interested in, and it can help push to make change. Obviously, Japan still has ways to go. There's not everything's like better for them. It's not as good as. Some would even argue it's not even good here. But both countries do have a ways to go in developing for LGBT causes.